They are the ones who understand the language of the SME.
They are closer to the SME. And they have access to funding which enable you to take on SME. But we don't have it here. And I'm happy to.
And the banks are not performing that.
No, they're not doing it anymore. They say they are the big things. They look at big ticket transactions now. They no longer look at that. So SME, but the good news is that we're told they are trying to package an SME fund, which should be done in CBN, and they want finance company to now have access to those funds to now address the issues of SMEs. You know what I'm saying? So I think they are now beginning to see the move in the right direction. And they need to be able to look at it. But how soon that will come out is what we are waiting for.
Okay, so what you're saying at some point was that if the National Assembly or some members of the House of Reps are playing with the idea of transferring the supervisory role of banks from CBN to CIBN, what they may inadvertently be suggesting is that supervisory role of banks and other financial institutions, they want to give it to CIBN, and you say that is not their function. That cannot be.
It's a no-no, because they don't even, to supervise an institution, you must know what their problems are. And CIBN is not equipped as it stands to do that. Like I told you, it's like employers association. All the people in the bank, they're there thinking about working with the CBN to regulate banking and all that. But they're not equipped to handle that.
If the CBN were to go on with this recommendation after the presentation by KPMG, do you think that the financial houses in this country require any laws to strengthen them or encourage them to make them more visible?
Oh yeah, sure. I believe too. By the time they are through, CBN have the mandate for now, to restructure that subsector, which they are working on. By the time they are through with it and they are able to get the blessing of the National, I think first of all, once the National Assembly carry out the overriding function of CBN and they are giving the money to do what they are doing, they do it well. I think what is important is that we should shift emphasis from just looking at the banking alone in this country. We should look at other financial things, because if you look at it, you're talking about SME now. SME is one of the biggest area of the country, not the big company we're looking at. We have, like I said, it is the engine of growth, and if you formulate policies that makes it difficult for you to assess those engine of growth, then we're not talking about growth in the first place. So we're just looking at going around the world growth. So I think if that is now done properly by the CBN, that would have addressed that, and it will go a long way to encouraging growth in that sector.
Okay, so at the moment, because we just see that, but we're getting a little response of people just also towing your line, saying they don't think that, the supervisory role of CBN should be taken away to CIBN. But then, the earlier guest also talked about the fact that CBN may just be overwhelmed in terms of the supervisory role of some of these banks. Yeah. Because it may take 3 years, he says, if you supervise one bank, to get back there takes a lot. Should they be split into two, the functions of CBN, so that another independent body comes up and helps out?
Thank
and
you
not
very
leave
much.
Everything to CBN.
I'm happy people are responding, supporting what I'm telling you. It shows that we are looking at encouraging Nigeria to play this role, to get involved in what is happening. To go straight to what you just said, I told you when we started that I'm very much in support of restructuring. The business environment is changing. You must look at regularly to look at what do you do. The man who you interviewed first was very right, because the whole job of supervision is a lot, especially with banks. Even if you look at it, the banks were prone to fewer numbers, but they will still have branches. I can imagine what it was when we had so many banks with all the branches all over the place. Like you rightly said, it takes a long time to be able to go through the whole hog of the examination of a bank and all the branches. And you have to go through it on a regular basis. And like the man gave you that, it takes about 3 years, which I think is too long. But for finance company, they do us annually. I'm surprised they do that 3 years, because it's quite. So what I'm saying in essence is that if you're going to restructure, you have to look at this tax, which is becoming too much for CBN to handle. Either you break it to a different unit of exam body that will, though they have the banking supervision now in CBN, I think it's not strong enough to handle the issues we have in terms of manning and whatever. Either you make it a different, bigger thing that we're able to handle, like Riley said, you determine the number of supervision for a bank and the frequency of occurrence. That will enable you to know the number of people you can target on a particular bank. And then the reporting level and relationship that will enable you building checks and balances. Because if one man goes there every day, the whole transparency we're talking about now is defeated. So you must be able to change people on a regular basis so that you encourage the transparency. Either we increase the number of workforce or improve on their processes. I use the word that I believe in strategy driving structure and structure driving system, and that is processes. If you review the strategy, you must come up with a structure that will support achieving that strategy, and then the processes that will enable them to work well. So if hitherto they've been operating a system of manual supervision, and you're unable to cover a lot within this short period, you may need to look at the whole process of supervision and either automate it or make it easy for you to quickly check on a regular basis. Okay. That could be a way. And then the structure will be actually done in where you have so many number of people that can do the job. Or alternatively, you just farm it out to a different body to look at the whole supervision and report periodically to